piece, quickly think fast with the parenting vibes, Imagine, your child, your child, kid, the seed that we initiate, how can I say, initiate the coming forth of that soul. Because, as much as we could say, we made, our children, quote unquote, it's more so, doing what it takes to make a bodysuit, and in essence, by making that bodysuit, you're summoning a soul, or allowing for a soul to have a bodysuit to occupy within this realm of reality by your sexual intercourse, But like just the vibe of parenting, and how, again, it's not meant for the parents to control, the children, you know what I'm saying, to control the youth. Like, we're meant to be our unique selves, and if our parents is constantly trying to make us into something that they want us to be, and not allowing us to be who we are, that's where a lot of the stress and depression, comes from, growing up, in essence, is due to our parents constantly, coaching us to be like them, or to do what they want us to do, And of course, not getting mad or, angry at the parents, because they're just doing what they were taught, only what they know how to do, But it's like having a little, like a flower button, and like when a flower is button at the beginning stages, you don't know what kind of, you don't know what cut, you may not know what, let's just say, you don't know for sure, like, what plant you're dealing with, like whether it's a rose or, a tulip or whatever. But like, as it's starting to bud out, like, over controlling parents would be like that person, that gardener who, as that bud is budding out, they trying to constantly like they pouring dye on the flower. Like, say for instance, they trying to dye the color of the flower. I want it to be purple instead of the natural color that it is. So let me try to dye the petals, or dye the bud, the bud of the flower before it even spread out. I want to, make it this color, or overly cutting it and grooming it. You know what I'm saying? Like a parent that might want you to, get a haircut or groom yourself in some type of way that they want you to groom. That's just like that gardener, constantly, nipping at the little flower and trying to dye it a different color, and just constantly trying to influence its growth instead of allowing that flower to grow, compared to, that person that allows for that plant to grow and doesn't try to modify it, being basically a person that's just catering to the needs of that flower the best way possible, without trying to manipulate, or I say manipulate, but without trying to, change the way that flower is growing, and change the way that flower, actually looks, and change the way that flower is, it is not trying to control these aspects, but allowing for that flower to grow in its element, to bud whenever it does bud. Like, instead of like, oh, it's budding a little bit, let me pull off a little green, like a little green leaf off of the bud so the color could show faster. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, trying to micromanage the flower, and its growth, instead of allowing for that flower to grow, and just providing water, and nourishment for that flower as needed, but not trying to overly control the growth of that flower, It's like, again, allowing for the buds, to grow out on their own without trying to overly critique them, It's like a child is like a flower, and it's not your job to try to change the color of the flower, or to take off the thorns of the rose bush, or to, because it was grown with rose, it was made with roses, through source, naturally, these flowers, we all different flowers, like the flower of life, or the seed, starting off in that seed of life, and depending on the soil, the environment that you plant your seed, aka, you know, the environment, not only whether, you know, sexual intercourse or the conception part goes down there, but also, you know, the environment, like the mother's womb is the environment that the seed is growing in. So what type of environment is that seed growing in? You know, and that'll point out to what type of flower you're gonna get. You know, but again, like with grooming, you know, flower buds or plants in general, you know, you're not trying to turn a watermelon into an orange. You're not trying to grow an orange like a apple. You know, you gotta allow for these energies to be themselves. You know, you gotta allow for the fruits, a certain fruit to be itself. You know, you gotta allow for flowers to grow as they are. You know what I'm saying? Not try to critique their growth. You know, I was thinking about you know, as I caught the vibe on this video, I was on the bus and thinking about like how, you know, out here in LA, you know, they have less, like they don't have like the yellow school buses as much as in Louisiana, you know, and also due to the fact of them, you know, having a bus system, you know, that go all over the place. And I thought about how in Louisiana, you know, because of the culture of being taught, like Louisiana, you know, parents, because they watch their parents control their lives in essence. But you know, it's like, oh, you could only, you know, you gotta stay close to, and certain aspects, you know, are beneficial in these teachings, you know, like staying close to family and things of this nature. But you know, in Louisiana, the expectations is like you gotta live the life exactly of like what your parents and your elders want, instead of living out, you know, the life that you want, you know. But I thought about how Louisiana parents would be so scared, like, to even let their children get on the bus system because of that fear and that controlling. Like Louisiana people so used to controlling the growth of their, you know, their seeds, you know, as far as like, you know, just being all in the business, like the parents being all in the business of the children and their relationships and things of this nature. And of course you could say, oh yeah, that's close-knit family. Again, you know, because on some extremes out here, you could see where some people, you know, don't have no family vibe and like nobody give a fuck about them, you know. So it's like, you know, there's pros and cons to having, you know, a close-knit family structure in essence. But I'm just, again, speaking to the fact of, you know, controlling others' vibrations. You know, your vibration should never be controlled, nor should you allow others to control your vibration. You know, and that's dealing with whoever, you know, whether mother, brother, cousin, sister, son, daughter, mama, daddy, auntie, uncle, whatever, you know what I'm saying? No matter how much blood you share, you know, on a DNA level, on a physical body level, it still doesn't mean that that person controls, you know, your consciousness and should control what you do in your life. Because another thing too, when it's time for you to transition, you know, you can't go back and say, oh man, well no, I lived my life for, you know, for my grandmother. I did this because she wanted me to do this. So, Source, can I please go back down and live the life that I truly was living, I wanted to live? Like, it don't work like that. Better start living for your, you know, for your unique energy right now, and not wait till, you know, until a time when it really, you know, again, it ain't no turning back. When it's time to transition, that just means shit. Well, you come back to this motherfucker reincarnated if you allow for yourself to live a life that you didn't really want to live, you know, then come back. But again, just speaking to that aspect of the children, you know, allow for them to be themselves. Matter of fact, shout out to the brethren Derek Grace. You know, I think if y'all follow him on Instagram, but you know, where he, you know, he allowed for his children to, cause that's how it is. We basically like chaperones. You know, we're basically like some beings that already done dealt in this earth realm already and been dealing with it, and we're just teaching the ropes to the new soul that like basically like teaching like a driver's lessons, you know, like this is how you drive this bodysuit. You know, this is how this bodysuit operates in this physical material realm. Like basically you are like a guide or you know, a guide or guardian, you know what I'm saying? A chaperone for that soul, for that child, and not necessarily a controller like, oh, that's my son and that's my daughter and I say what they do and cannot do, you know. Again, of course, you guide them in ways to not allow for themselves to, you know, to harm themselves or eliminate themselves as soon as they, you know, come on to this plane of existence. But you're definitely not controlling, you know, their consciousness and controlling every aspect of how they, you know, do things. Because again, all of us realize within, you know, life that, you know, of course, even those of us who may have listened to others, you know, too much as far as like, you know, listen to what mama said and this and that, even with you doing that, you still came to the point of realizing like, hey, but I should be doing what I really want to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, is that vibe of knowing that we have a unique vibe that we should be, you know, dealing with and acting out in essence. But again, the whole thing is your child or a child in general is not to be controlled, you know. Like it's a flower sprouting and growing out, allow for that flower to be. All you need to do is help nourish that flower, you know what I'm saying? Because a flower don't have any hands and feet to go walk around and go get some water on that level, you know. You help nourish it, just like, you know, like a soul that's in a new vehicle, you know what I'm saying? That new vehicle, you know, only knows how to crawl and things of this nature, and you gotta help bring that nourishment, you know, and that soul chose you as that perennial energy to take care of, you know what I'm saying, to help with the development of his bodysuit so it could grow and, you know, have this physical experience, you know, within this realm. But, you know, that's basically it, just the vibe of, you know, allowing for, you know, like, allowing for children to make more of their own decisions, you know. Like, you know, as much as they made a joke out of it on, what it was, Big Daddy with Adam Sandler, you know, where he let the little boy choose his name, you know what I'm saying, and he called himself Frankenstein. He let the little boy, you know, choose what clothes he wanted to wear for school, you know what I'm saying. Because another thing too, regardless of what the, you know, the social norm, we live in an insane society. Like, you know, this corporation called America has created rules and certain things to make things insane. So, you know, a lot of things that are spiritually liberating may stand out in this, you know, physical experience in this, especially in this corporation called America, because, you know, they preach and teach such insane ways of consciousness, you know, that you're gonna stand out when you're, you know, in alignment with source and in alignment with, you know, that truth, that true essence, you know. As a matter of fact, that's how you get to see is like when you're doing things in the indigenous, natural, you know, godly type of manner, you know what I'm saying, you start to see like, well, damn, like this shit stand out, like this shit don't fit into society. I know, because society was created to be topsy-turvy and to take you away from your God self and your, you know, that true inner connection. But that's basically it. And allow for them flowers to grow as they are. Not trying to overly trim the flowers, overly critique the flowers, you know. Let that flower grow, and you just be that guardian and help and make sure that flower has the, you know, the best environment possible for it to grow in, you know. That's a parent or a gardener, you know what I'm saying. You planted that seed through your, you know, your sexual intercourse. You know what I'm saying? When that solar phallic sunlight, you know, shined upon that egg, you know, and created that photosynthesis in essence, you know, that process starting and that growth of that plant or that being, you know, again, just like a flower, providing an environment that is best for that flower, but not trying to make that flower into something that it's not. You know what I'm saying? Allow for that flower to be what it is. If that flower grows with 5 petals instead of 6, then let it be 5 petals, you know. Or if it grows with five petals instead of 6, like I should say if it grows with like 6 petals. What I was trying to get at is basically like, don't try to pull off a petal. Like, oh, this is supposed to have this many petals, let me pull off a petal. But no, if it uniquely have that extra petal, then allow for that petal to be, you know what I'm saying? Like all these different things, you know, again, where we come with this uniqueness, but then because of the insanity of what they teach to parents as far as how to deal with children, you know, got parents unknowingly trying to control every aspect of, you know, the children's life, not realizing that they're doing more harm than quote unquote good, you know. But you know, again, allow for that flower to grow the way it grows, you know. Don't try to grow a cypress, don't try to make a cypress tree grow in the desert, you know. You know, like again, as a matter of fact, you know, allowing for your children to see what they want to do. Like, not you telling them, oh yeah, I think you should play baseball or basketball, or, you know, like, of course they're gonna, you know, gravitate towards certain things that you do, you know, in essence, because they see you doing it, you know. But for the most part, you know, allowing for them to have their choice and choose on what they want to do and be, you know. Not you just pipelining information and you know, things in a manner of like, you know, forcefully creating a little miniature you. Like, if that being, that soul, aka, you know, that child, you know, that you are the guardian of, wants to choose to be, you know, more like you, then of course fine, you know, but let it be a choice of free will, you know. Again, free will exists for, you know, the only reason why it doesn't seem like free will, because when we're operating from the perspective of our ego, in most cases we're not in alignment with ourselves, so we're making choices and decisions that, you know, may seem like it's hard to make, or like, you know, like where we doing things and it's like, well, I wanted this, or I wanted that, and I ain't get it, or my free will ain't bring. Well, that because you're, again, from the perspective of your ego, which is unbeneficial to the alignment of your mind, body, and soul, and you being in alignment with source. So, of course, it's gonna seem like you don't have a free will if you thinking about, I want 1,000 pancakes to fall out of the sky, you know, or some shit where it's more so coming from your egoic mind, or, you know, or from a glutton aspect, and not from being in alignment with, you know, your source. But again, it's a free will universe, so, you know, allow for the children to have their free will as well. As much as society make it seem, you know, like it's crazy for a child, like you can't let a child decide how to be themselves, you gotta control them, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's like, again, an insane society, you know. Matter of fact, shout out to again to the brethren, Derek Grace, you know, like with kids allowed to, you know, like whatever business they want to start, you know, that's up to them, you know what I'm saying? Whatever clothes they like, you know, whatever their vibes is, you know. But that's what it's about. Peace, peace. Happy now. Now is the vibrate, of course. Not too far in the future. Not too far in the past. Right now. Peace, peace.